So today's lesson is on one power. Huge topic, little time, but I want to open it by reading a quote saying your life should consist of more than commuting, working, eating, surfing the internet, sleeping and watching TV. How does that make you all feel? Somebody knows. And the title of the book that comes from is almost longer than the quote. It's by Richie Norton, and it's The Power of Starting Something Stupid. How to crush fear, make dreams happen, and live without regret. Well, I too have a little book that occasionally I open up, and it has quotes that are supposed to inspire you, make you think. And in that book, it says, at any moment I could start being a better person, but I have to choose the moment that I choose to start being a better person. I don't know if any of you heard the story of the chap that was having an awful time in his life, and he didn't know where to turn. He needed advice, and he thought, well, what better place to go to than the Bible? So he did what I do with my little book, and he opened it up, and it opened to Matthew. And it said, Judas went to the temple, threw the money down, went out again, and hanged himself. So he thought he'd look for a dash more inspiration, and he turned to Luke, and it said, and Jesus said, go thou and do likewise. Well, sometimes that's the way we formulate our religious doctrine. We pull a little bit from here, we pull a little bit from there, and we put it all together, but it's a bit patchworky, and it doesn't always work for us really well. And the great thing about this teaching is that we have guides, we have foundations, we have a sensible way of establishing a wonderful belief in a terrific teaching that will hold us up during those trials and things. We don't have to do that open the Bible thing and go and hang yourself thing. So you'll notice that I just walk slowly past here every so often so that I can... Okay. So in the book that Dr. Moyer said this, it talked about the last few weeks before she went away, it's called This Thing Called You. And in it, Ernest Holmes says there is no such thing as an ordinary life. And we have this doctrine. We know all about this power. We know that God exists. We don't have any doubt in all this. But we have to make it personal. And we have Ernest Holmes, who really was a great student of Troad. And when I first came into this teaching, I thought that, Ernest was the big bee's knees and he was divinely inspired. But really, he stole it from everybody else. And it starts way back. He quotes Jesus. Jesus saying, seek ye first the kingdom of God within, and all these things will be added unto you. We have Marcus Aurelius, who I absolutely love, who said, the power's in you. Don't take everything from outside. Just look inside yourself. And Plotinus, who I hadn't realized has such a huge influence on Holmes, he said, go inside yourself and look. So Troad comes along and he says, your life is going to mirror what you're thinking. And of course, Holmes rewrote it and said the same thing, being a good student. What we need to learn is to look inside ourselves and see where we need to change. We're really good about doing that with other people. We can read each other's lives so beautifully and we know where they're going wrong, but it's far too painful to do that for ourselves, and because it takes a bit of energy. But it's really, really important because we know the basics. We know God is all there is. We know that God's everywhere present. We know all that stuff, but we don't always get that this teaching, this God, this power is personal. It's all powerful, it's everywhere present, and the only limits on this is how we use it. There are some wonderful people in this world that never reach their real potential because they've got those old tapes. You'll never amount to anything, you're not good enough, I don't love you, I'm going to send you away to an orphanage. And sometimes we don't even know they're down there. But everything we hear here bounces right off that shield of feeling undeserving. And that's the thing we've got to heal. That's the thing we have to get in touch with, making this one power our personal power. We'll just go for a stroll here. So we need to get really clear on what we want in our lives and what we want to demonstrate. I read a lovely story about Mark Twain. He was writing an article and he needed a certain piece of paper that he'd written years before, and he couldn't find it, and he searched everywhere. And he was very frustrated. And then the story says he summoned his inner power and said, you find it. A few days later, he's downtown, and this fellow walks up to him and says, you know, I've been a great fan of yours for years, Mr. Clemens. I didn't realize he was Samuel Clemens, not Mark. That was his other name. And I've been collecting articles for years, and I just wondered, I got this feeling that I should share them with you. And Mark Twain took them home, and he found the exact article that he'd been looking for. It's the power of connection. We're told all the time, when you get really clear about what you want, the universe floods in to help you. And I had this great experience in my life that wasn't my needing help, but it showed me just how connected we really are. I work in the medical world. I had a patient one day, came in and had a really large ulcer on her leg, and I was really concerned about her. And I said, well, have you seen your doctor? He said, well, my doctor's not here, I'm from Malaysia. I've just come to be with my son and daughter-in-law because they've just had a baby. Where in Malaysia? Ipoh. I went, Ipoh? I was there 20 years ago. I went to a birthday party with my parents, and I said, in fact, my parents were just there a little while ago celebrating another birthday party. And she looked at me and she said, you're Cathie Sinfield, aren't you? It took me 3 days to get over that, going, wow, wow. Well, the truth of the matter is, not only did she know my parents, but they stayed with her when they went over there 2 weeks before. And the bottom line of that is that she then went out to the waiting room with me, and she looks at her husband and says, guess who this is? Well, that wasn't really fair. But it shows you, how we're all connected. It's just amazing. Sometimes, can you imagine all the things that need to get it in line for that to happen? It works. We just have to use it. So we need to say yes to it all. And Emerson pulled together some of the things that we've learned from Troward and Holmes when he said, our life reflects our thoughts. So what are our thoughts telling us? We know that all that superficial stuff, but do we know deep down inside, have we healed all the things that need to be healed for us to live that exciting life? I think one of the greatest lessons I ever remember is from Reverend Mary, who was talking about forgiveness. And she said, it's like you drinking poison and expecting the other chap to fall over. Well, she didn't say chap, even though she might now she's been to Ireland. But you're expecting the other person to die. When we're reliving those hurts, those disappointments, and heaven knows, I'm assuming you've all done it too, but I have, where you're so crushed, you start thinking revenge. And it's with such a passion that's the passion that needs to be replicated in our treatments, in our quiet times, and in our meditations. And, we don't always do that. We make our affirmations, we do our treatments, but it's, oh yes, but when we want revenge or upset with somebody, there's passion, there's feeling. That's why we have to heal it. That's why we have to get it out of our lives. And that's why we call this teaching a healing teaching. We heal all that. We say tritely, today's the first day of the rest of your life. It's true. We can let go of all that old stuff and know that we can begin again, knowing that this teaching heals us and it's open for us to use in every facet of our lives when we just connect to that one power. So I want you to remember that you're unique. This power is so powerful. I know nothing about cars, but there's this power in cars. You can put your foot on the gas pedal a little bit, or you can hit the ground. But you better have read the manual first. I was talking to someone out in the corridor after last service, and he said, I just got a new car and I hadn't read the manual. I did 4,800 miles on a trip, but I'm on the freeway and someone cut me off and the car just stopped. Well, it was one of those new cars that if you're going to be hit, it stops. We need to read the manual. And I don't know if he said darn at the time. He does confess that's a problem with him. But let's read the manual. Let's live a wonderful, vital life. I want to end my part of the talk today with a quote from Ernest Holmes, because he says it so well. The nature of God is vast and powerful and so completely enveloping that all of life is contained in the very being of God, and this includes you. By taking time to meditate and pray every day, you become more and more conscious of that inner wisdom at the very center of your being. As you begin to trust in that presence and listen, you'll be more and more able to relax. Just know that as a drop of water contains everything that the ocean contains, so you contain all the qualities of God. This is really big. It's just this wonderful, big power. So let's use it. And now I want to introduce a wonderful power in my life, and that's Mark Ruth. Thank you.
Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.